So are we connected?
Just starting the recording.
Okay, we're recording also. So this is our Board of Commissioners annual retreat in 2 sessions this afternoon and also Friday morning after a neighbor impact groundbreaking event or ribbon groundbreaking. I don't think the building ribbon cutting. No, groundbreaking. Sorry. So at this time we can take turns, kind of commissioner priorities. 10, 15, 20 minutes if you're on a roll, I guess would be the concept here. And I'm just thinking back, we did this with masks on and we tried to do it in a more open setting or whatever, but we had masks on and was it Sisters at the lodge, right?
Yes, we were at 5 Pints with bad technology.
Yeah, technology.
Yes.
And then that wasn't last year. What did we do last year?
Wasn't that last year?
Oh, that was
That
last year.
Last year.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe there was another year in there.
The year before that was the courthouse. That 2 years ago?
Yeah, that was before COVID when we were at the courthouse. We never would have been in that teeny little room. That was like in 19.
So my goal is to have this meeting in the top of the DA's building someday when they clear out all the records up there. I've mentioned that to Steve Gunnels and a couple of folks now. So this would be a budget priority. Probably because there's just records upstairs on that. This is where the old jail cells were at the very top of the gray building. They could give them room. And I'd seriously advocate for this to be funded if they come up with a plan. And I mentioned this to the previous DA and the previous DA before that. Come up with a plan and I'll advocate for it. Let's go spend some money here, hopefully. Six figures, not 7 figures or what, something. But that'd be interesting. So that just came up kind of randomly. I'll share thoughts a little bit and then hand this off. So at this point in time, I'm getting organized on a new term. So, last year was an honor to be running around asking for people's vote, but we get a good feel for what's going on out there too. And I was able to put a whole bunch of thoughts together, but I don't have a theme of Commissioner DeBone's bringing this project to the table here today. Friday, I might propose that we take a few moments and do that again, kind of do this again, just kind of go around, and I'm sure we can do it, just go around the 3 of us, and figure out, okay, what are we seeing? What do we want to do? Where do we want to go? So then after that, land use, homeless issues, the cost of housing production. There's a whole theme there, which is really interesting. What I've seen, like for homeless, City of Bend came up with the idea of, okay, well, let's be a partner with the county on this. And that was a different change. That was a change. Instead of, you take care of your jurisdiction and I'll take care of mine. It was like, okay, well, the county can do that. So we're still working through that. And as I say, it's different. It wasn't like this just a few years ago. There was never an expectation that the county deal with homeless issues the way it is right now. So we're switching gears on that. I'm looking forward to figuring out what action looks like. Get back to the big picture of getting the right people in the right places and kind of putting a plan together and moving forward. And I think we're getting real close to that too. So very generic statements here. And in fact, it's interesting because, and man, have I learned what a hot topic. You talk to somebody about homeless or, wanting to clean out an area, specifically not have people at a certain location. And people are just ready to respond. You're going to go sweep people. You're going to take their rights away. Well, let's protest. Well, no. We're just trying to do something. We're trying to move forward. I want to help anybody and everybody. So as I say, I'm just letting myself go on that a little bit here. The big picture for Deschutes County, though, is with all the departments, we do have it going on. It's a great organization. And I want to thank the leadership, with administration and deputy administrators here right now. But the department heads, change we've had, the department change, we're still doing a little bit of that right now. Recruiting, we can do it, and it's pretty amazing seeing it happen here. Cost of housing is really hitting everybody. I even think about recruiting anybody in for any position. It is tricky. One of the observations I had along this line is Southern Deschutes County, in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, all these 1 acre lots were subdivided. I was in Alan Unger's office, and a gentleman came in, and he was long retired. And he said, I used to work for the Department of Water, whatever it was back in the day. And I remember people used to come in with these plats, and they were just subdividing all these parcels down in South County before land use. But those 1 acre lots gave people hope around the state and around the West. In California, Crooked River Bob selling houses or 1 acre land in La Pine. But they buy an acre and then you go work your career for 20 years and then you'd be able to move there someday. And we don't have that kind of swap land. I spent $5,000 on that land and it's worth $7,000 now and it's going to be $15,000 someday. And now they're all $250,000. But that was a period of time and we've stopped that. We don't have those like extra parcels that people can just, know they're going to retire on someday or, buy as an investment and no intention of building on because of the development pressure. So just an observation again, it's just interesting to think that used to be a pretty motivating factor. And I've met people in Portland who said, oh yeah, I got my little cabin out there in the, Deschutes or wherever. And that is so much of a point of pride for some folks. And we're losing some of that. And I don't know what that means, where we're going to go from here, but reminds you that a little bit of land access is always important. And I do support that. So as I say, with that, I would like to, I really like the fact that we're going to do this for a 2-day period because I just got a lot of things swirling and I've been taking notes, but I'm just not consolidated into front end statements more than that right now. So I'll hand it off to one of the other commissioners.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I have 5 priorities I wanted to specifically mention. The first is funding for workforce and affordable housing projects. We spent a lot of time talking about how we're at a deficit for housing units in our community. We can talk about land supply, land use planning, land use regulations as being part of our package of tools to respond to that. I think it's quite clear. You look at the recent report released by the legislature, you look at the findings from the Bench Chamber of Commerce that public investment in housing units is necessary for us to get some of the units at the price point that we need to have in our community to support working people being able to live in the place where they work. So besides looking at it as well, a unit of housing has land costs, construction costs, and infrastructure costs associated with it. And in a community like this, where land is expensive, regardless of how much supply you have, and construction costs currently are very expensive. It's really hard to put those 3 costs together and end up with a unit of housing that is attainable to local people who make local wages, because we have so many people who come to this community who are able to pay prices that are completely decoupled from local salaries and wages. So one of the ways that we can bridge that and get to some units that people can afford is by putting some public dollars into them. And that can be It could be, it can be helping with the land costs. It could be helping with the infrastructure, the schools, the sewer, and everything else we need. But we will not get the housing we need in the numbers we need without some public input into those projects. And we've seen how local funding is incredibly powerful in leveraging state, federal, and private investment in development of housing. So, if you can get $1 out of the City of Bend's, Affordable Housing Advisory Committee's fund that comes from their construction excise fee, then you can leverage several dollars of other funding with that one local dollar. And if we are going to see some money come out of Salem this year for housing projects, we would be best prepared to land as much of that as possible by having some local funding sources available as leverage. So that's my first priority, and maybe my highest priority is local, long-term, stable local funding sources for workforce and affordable housing. A related item for the county specifically to think about is employee housing. After reading through the challenges and opportunities for all of the departments within the county, the theme of recruitment and retention of workforce came up over and over again. And in a community like this that is highly desirable for people to move to, housing is the barrier, and we can try and counteract that by raising wages, raising benefits, raising wages, raising benefits. But really, if we could just address the underlying barrier for people who want to come here, which is that they can't afford a place to live, then maybe we wouldn't have to raise salaries and wages so much and so fast. And I see Dave's over in the corner here. I'm like, I don't know if this is an auditable concept, but I mean, just trying to understand, the rapid escalation in salary and wages. How much we're racing to keep up, basically, with housing costs, and thinking about if we spent that same amount of money on some employees' housing opportunities, would that be more cost efficient? I think that would be an interesting thing to analyze. I don't know if that's an auditable type thing to do, but certainly from a policy perspective for the county, I think that would be a useful thing for us to understand. How much money are we spending to try to make it possible for people to come here and work when we might be able to address their big bottleneck by just providing some housing opportunities for people. I thought that the program that Core Community Land Trust is doing right now is really interesting and innovative, and presents an opportunity for us to just kind of dip our toe in. We could jump in on the pool that the Bend Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring with Core right now, just to see how much appetite or demand there is within our county workforce to have access to such opportunities. So that's employee housing, and I think it could make a real difference for us in recruitment and retention. And when Sarah Crosswhite came and spoke to us just before the winter holiday and told us about the incredible challenges that they were going to be facing to have complete coverage, it was heartbreaking. And it is a reflection of something, challenges that are happening across many county departments right now. Okay. But third priority is to it really specifically is to enable the DSL land exchange to move forward. And to do that, we really need to have enough places for people to go, enough pathways out of homelessness that we can move people out of our 137 acres east of 17th Street. And we're not there yet. And Commissioner Bone, I heard you say, the county role in homelessness used to not be very big. And we are a health and human services agency. And, in this specific case with these 137 acres, we have a very direct and concrete interest in making sure that those pathways out of homelessness, those places for people to go are there so that we can get this land exchange done. Fourth priority, we have heard about how the lack of treatment beds, behavioral health treatment beds in our community is having all sorts of negative consequences for us. How the state hospitals always full, and now, under court order, they're going to be sending people to their home communities to be absorbed and supported and treated here, and we don't have the capacity that we need. So I will do a lot. One of my legislative priorities for this year is going to be trying to find federal or state funding for more treatment beds. The secure residential treatment facility that's in the pipeline, I think, is great, but it is only a small portion of what we need, and we are trying to counteract, essentially 3 or 4 decades since the 1980s of underinvestment in behavioral health support and facilities. Since all of those people were deinstitutionalized, and they all scattered all over the place. And, we see them show up in the homeless population. We see families struggling to take care of those people. And there is a role for us as the local public health, the CMHP and the local public health authority in addressing that need. My fifth priority is county parks. So those 2 properties that I'm particularly interested in, the one at Fort Thompson Lane and the one just upstream from Lower Bridge. I hope that we can move those feasibility studies forward and get to the place where we can have some concrete plans for fiscally or financially viable park concepts. And get to work putting together the capital to get those built. I had the real specifics.
Yeah.
At this
Well, as I say, it'd be nice because we have half a day today and half a day Friday. So whenever needs to come back around, we could just lay out, and talk too. So it's pretty good.
Okay. We done? So it has
Just
to,
getting started.
okay, well. Fort Thompson actually happens to be where the 57 acres is for the single wide manufactured home park, RV park. Is, so they're right kind of by each other. How interesting is that? So, workforce housing, I do believe we've got to have housing for people that want to work here. When you talk to people that worked in the hospital, in the schools, in the restaurants, housing, I really think that's important. And it's kind of interesting to see that our planning commission has a totally different opinion, let's say, regarding our ADUs. I think those are an opportunity for Deschutes County, and I'm really hoping we can get that 391 separation from 762, the Senate Bill 762. So that's interesting. And I did meet an architect who did say, I've got to call him, that he's interested in doing like a sketch of our parking lot if we could do condos above it, an approximation of how many condos we could get. I talked to someone else, said, oh my gosh, this is gonna be so expensive. But if we can get a private partnership on that project, we definitely need to be able to offer workforce housing. And it's interesting because our childcare housing here at Munchkin Manor, we offer that to the state too. So really want to take care of Deschutes County employees first. But I know there's such a tremendous need for any kind of workforce housing. Was really happy with the presentation the other day through the chamber. I thought they did a great job. Highway 97, I'm really kind of disappointed that we haven't gotten more funding. Highway 97 still needs a lot of work. It gets a lot of use, and hopefully federally, we will get more dollars for that. Then the other fact is that the drive on Highway 20, I honestly don't know why ODOT didn't just schedule everything at the same time. They're doing 4 roundabouts. And what they're gonna do is it's gonna be a mess longer. I'm hoping they start those other 2 roundabouts sooner rather than later. One thing in Oregon and along with Washington State, we just spent billions of dollars on healthcare things, and yet we really didn't add any hospital beds. And whenever I hear that our hospital beds are all full and taken, well, we have the fewest beds per capita in the nation, along with the state of Washington. And considering our population growth, I would really like to see more hospital beds. I did talk to the person with Bend Surgery Center, and they now actually have an opportunity to keep some people overnight. And it's something they've been working on for quite a while, but really we need more hospital beds. The bunkhouse in La Pine for our veterans, it seems like a good way to go. Haven't heard, I know that you all are waiting on some information from Larry, and hopefully Larry, we're gonna be able to get that going, but our veterans need more help, where the suicide number has doubled. And the more we can do in Deschutes County to honor and serve them, I think it's important. Critically, as commissioners, we have to this year be accountable and really follow up on all that ARPA funding that we did in 21. There's money sitting out there, and I do believe we have got to make sure that that funding is being used. And if it's not being used, where can it be used? So it means a lot to me. What is it, $38.4 million in funding, and what's happening there? And then, of course, another thing that we need to continue on is Terrebonne. I know we have the election on March 14th, which is great, but coordinating that sewer transportation plan at this time and seeing what the sewer capacity is in Terrebonne. It's, as was mentioned, it's totally different than what happened, the kind of soil in Tumalo. So people in Terrebonne really needed the community. I was at the Fire Free meeting yesterday, I guess it was, and it was fascinating. They really felt we are, we're maybe years ahead of a lot of other communities because we've been so engaged on doing a lot of really good decisions, cleanup, etc. Thank goodness, I would hope our Fire Free days, the 6 weeks, would continue this year. But they really felt, someone made the comment in the room that we really needed to engage the cities to be at those meetings too. We didn't have any representatives from the cities. And I think it would be good if we did, Sisters, Redmond, Bend, La Pine, just so we could all be talking about it. What is it we need to do? They were actually concerned that we wouldn't get that $500,000 worth of funding because we as a county and as a community are ahead of so many areas that haven't done as much work as we have. So we'll see what happens. Apparently in March, they're going to be announcing that. And looking at everything, the number one thing we as Deschutes County have to do is provide great service to our community. And by having great service, employee retention is critical. just talked to somebody who's been here for 20 years. He said, you know, to be in government, you have to be a special person. He goes, I actually like it. And he goes, and I'm planning on staying another 10 years. Somebody else I talked to, has only been here for a year. And she said, well, yes, she brought it up. She said, your health insurance is phenomenal. I could appreciate a little more pay. And that's the problem we have right now with inflation being at 6%, 7%. And if you're buying food, it's way more than that. And what we are keeping up with the pay. So it's definitely, we're at about, so I talking about the homeless, I noticed that Revere Roundabout is filling up again. And I'm thinking like, okay, what if we get a major snow dump again? And you know, how they were worried, that was the original reason why ODOT was moving them. And I would like to put more energy into safe parking. I think that's a program that has a good track record. And how is it we actually get people to move on, to move back into the world and be part of society, those people that can, that have the capabilities. So if we can help them with safe parking, I think that's important. It's just, it seems like we're going around in the circle. You know, didn't I go door to door in October with Christy? And we still haven't really been able to add anything. And, you know, it's been it was a pretty cold December. So I just feel like let's get back to safe parking and see where we could do some things there.
Set.
Yes, I'm set.
Thank you very much. As I say, switching gears from this morning to here is, you know, I would have wanted to be a little bit more prepared, but now let's take time, go around again at the end of this thing on Friday and see what all want to share too. So, any other comments or thoughts from anybody to get started? Not public right now, though. Okay, so let's work through scheduling. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, last year what we did is we identified a couple of weeks over the course of the year where the board decided not to meet, so you could all plan accordingly for vacations, time off, whatever the conferences, whatever the case may be. So we thought it would be useful to do that again this year, just to see if there are weeks such as spring break, and or are there any other days that you know that at least two of you will be gone, or if one of you knows that you won't be here, if the board decides you want to meet as a full board, certainly your choice. So we thought we would just open it up for discussion about scheduling for the year ahead.
February 22nd. After 5 years, I'm going to do something special for my husband's birthday that week. Yeah.
For the whole
Also
season.
February.
That's on a Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday. Okay. Is that the week of President's Day?
Is that President's Day on Monday, the 19th or the 20th?
So you're saying February 22nd
Yeah,
wouldn't be available for the board meeting?
right. Oh, so Mondays, we're not open.
Well, that's weird.
But that's okay.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
that the
Presidency side.
Okay, well then that works out really well.
Well, so if, I mean, let's communicate. If there's two of us, we could have a board meeting.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can be real sensitive to the fact that let's make sure, you know, if it's something interesting that we're not dropping something in there and trying to
Yeah.
do something. But I mean, I'd always support that, the fact that, yeah, two people can have a board meeting, get the business, the contracts, or whatever need to be done for the county. So would you agree with that, Commissioner, and understand?
Yeah, I would. But
Yeah,
then we
so-
said we weren't having one on the 8th, and I will be here. I will be here on the 8th. So
Yeah.
do we not have that meeting, or do we have that meeting if there's things that we can do that aren't
Well,
controversial?
It was just a philosophy, the fact that.
how about we make
Yeah.
how about we make
Yeah.
a list of all the potential weeks that we were thinking about taking off, and then we kind of squeeze down from there based on maybe each of the three of us could pick one off that list. Because, you know, maybe you're interested in having Fair Week off again, or Pendleton Roundup or something.
That's not off, that's work, that's double time.
Yeah,
Well,
That is not
off from Board of Commissioner meetings.
Yeah. So yeah, the Wednesday of
yeah, it definitely isn't a week off.
Off from Board of Commissioners.
So we're starting the dates. You're not here on the 8th. Is that what I heard?
Of what?
February
February eighth?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh, yeah, just because, yeah, going to DC.
he'll be in a plane.
And I will not go to DC, but yeah. So I don't know if that was clear before or not. Yeah, I was gonna, but so then, yeah, June 17th, Junior's getting married, so we'll be here in La Pine. But I don't know that I need to schedule anything around that. In fact, if I had the Wednesday before, a family was in town, I'm like, come on in and see what a commissioner does. So that might be kind of fun.
Wait, June 17th is
That's just how.
Saturday.
Just, yeah. I'm just saying it'll be a big family time for me.
Got it.
I'll have family from around the country.
And then we're closed on Monday the 19th.
Oh, is it?
Monday the 19th.
Oh, Juneteenth, yeah, there you go.
Juneteenth,
I was gonna make a pitch for taking the 21st off. Cause that'll be. That week before, that's the last week of school. And so it's always nice to. Be able to go do something after, right after the school year ends, but.
Well, yeah, it's
you
safe.
Maybe just put that on the list.
Yep.
So you're saying.
We
June
could put
21st?
both of those weeks on the list and.
Are you saying June 21st or the 14th? Which one did you say?
So for me, that would be the
19th and then Wednesday, the
19th and the
21st.
21st. But for Commissioner DeBonne, that'd be the week before possibly.
Well, yeah, no, and I wouldn't need the 14th. I just looked at that. I mean, as I say, I'm not getting married. I'm just gonna have family in town, so I'm not asking for anything special. Just acknowledging I'll be family time then.
Okay.
Yeah, then, just county fair and AOC. I guess another thing is somebody want to go to the NACO, this will come up, maybe not today, but the NACO summertime
Yeah, when is
conference. I don't
that?
know when it is, where it is, but that could be a good one. In fact, yeah, I might try to do
Where
that.
is, when is that one? So what happened?
When I first got started, it was in Portland. So I went to downtown Portland to have the NACO conference. It was really cool.
I don't think they put it there now.
Oh, it was neat seeing people from around the country and meeting my fellow commissioners from Oregon that day.
Oh, yeah.
What about spring break? That's not another common one.
That would be. Yeah, maybe we could put that on the list. For me, it would be either or. If I could take spring break week off or the week after the school ends off, that would be great. But I don't need both.
As I say, I mean, if one of us is gone and there's just an agenda item or two that was just timely and not a big picture item, I don't mind having a meeting or being the one not there either, I'm saying.
And that was how the board used to meet.
Yeah.
It's like common for a long time.
I
But we'll
mean,
communicate about it way ahead of time.
in the world of Zoom, I mean.
Yeah, there you
conceivably, I
go.
could Be somewhere and just take a few hours to.
Well, just think about that. When I was in that trip during the discussion for the fourth floor of the courthouse, I was remote, I was following, I was engaged. And I just kind of got the feeling, oh, I guess everybody's gonna go do this. And then right after that meeting, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. It just wasn't the right place for me, right conclusion for me. So that was interesting for me to learn. It's like, I kind of got sucked in the meeting and went along to get along, I think. So I'll learn about that myself. When you're making a serious decision, gotta get in there. Any other dates?
The 4th of July falls on a Tuesday this year.
It does,
That's
so
another-
so the 3rd and the 5th could be interesting time. Could be.
So what do we legally get off then? The 4th?
Just the 4th,
I mean, it's not like Thanksgiving.
like Thanksgiving, but that's a good point.
We could choose not to meet on, we could choose not to meet on July 3rd. I
Yeah,
think that would
probably
be
not,
great,
yeah.
but
I could see that, yeah, that's.
July 3rd is the start of Wimbledon.
Oh.
Eric.
Good, well, that's a good choice, though, because I'll be, I'll be in something.
You'll be hanging.
So NACO, the conference is July 23rd. And let's see what, it's July 20. So it's actually July 21st to the 23rd. 24th.
And where is it?
July 21st to the July 24th. It's in Austin.
Oh, gosh.
Mm.
I can go to Dripping Springs again.
Be warm. Be warm.
When I went to Fort Worth one time for years, and that's where I learned. I went to the conference with big air conditioned center, went out to dinner and it was hot outside. And then, I was at the conference, so I went to bed in a timely manner at 9 or 10 o'clock. And all of a sudden the town erupted. I was like, what is all that noise? All the locals come out late at night because that's when it cools off.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that when I got Austin in July.
Yeah.
Well, just put it on this calendar as a FYI kind of thing for all of us, maybe. As I say, I did go to Fort Worth one time. That's because Tim Josie out of Tillamook or wherever it was, he was running for the national presidency, and I'm like, I'm gonna go show some support for the Oregon folks. Yeah, so there's a reason like I'd go to something like that. Or the Telecommunications Technology Committee, National Committee I'm on. If there's items that are floating around that I want to get involved in.
And then we, of course, we always have the AOC meeting, and I know there was a pitch to try to bring it to Ben, but I didn't.
Haven't heard anything yet.
I saw the AOC, they sent out their annual calendar. The annual calendar just showed it as usual in Eugene.
Yeah, she was gonna check and see if she could get out of the contract
Okay.
to bring it over here. But that is our idea.
So that's,
So nice.
The year we schedule a year will be the year that there's a massive snowstorm. And nobody will be able to get. Yeah.
That's good. Let's schedule it.
generally the November.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it takes. Yeah.
We can drive around.
That must be the 14th to the 17th. Generally, what it is. AOC.
That's 14 through 16.
Oh, 16th, okay. We generally meet the Monday of that week.
Right.
And we typically don't meet the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
That's right.
I heard support for not meeting the week of the fair, which do you two intend to go to the Pendleton Roundup again?
Well, I'll be going, but it's for a whole week.
So you're saying you wouldn't need to miss a meeting?
The meeting's on Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
can be
don't
in-
think I'm not going there. But my wife might have ideas, going somewhere else. But yeah, no, I don't have any other specific plans yet.
See.
Because I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but when I found out the week before that we weren't meeting, I really wished I had known a little bit
Yeah.
earlier, so I could actually, because
Mhm.
September weeks are pretty awesome. And, if with a little bit of advance warning, I could actually plan to
Yeah.
do something to fun.
I'm with you. It's really not.
But Whitney might check out see what the fair is. Oh, you have the list of holidays too, which is
Oh,
good.
it's right here.
You're flipping back and forth.
Pickles, pies and figs,
In August.
August 2 through
August.
6.
Oh, in August.
August 2 through 6.
What was that with that? I bought the wreath for the fair and I couldn't. Saw the pickles and the pigs, but I couldn't figure out that it was pie.
Okay, so we'll go with that. There's a couple items on there to kind of set the schedule for the year.
Yeah, it really helps so we have, if I just go. Calendar, February 8th. 2 commissioners. 22nd,
Just one. Or there'll be two commissioners.
there'll be, just 2 commissioners, the 22nd. February, unless,
Well, so by publishing a date like that. But if there was to be a board meeting, I propose that we talk about it the whole week before. There's a few agenda items for next week,
yes.
if we know about them. And then, as I say, if staff comes with something for the next few days, we can acknowledge that too. There'll be two of us. It's,
What we do, what the three of us will do, the department heads we work with and I'll coordinate with the elected department heads, is just to let them know.
yep,
And for scheduling purposes on these states, there's only two commissioners, so we both like to keep it light and
Yeah,
keep the
we'll
bigger
know.
topics.
Yeah.
You know, there's not to say you couldn't have a hearing and then you watch it later, but the problem is you can't ask the questions and
Right.
engage. So it's still nice not to have the hearings on those days. Question mark for spring break, or as Mr. Chang requested, June 22nd, one of those weeks, if it's up to the board, if you want to identify a week to take off, or if you want to just meet and then just have like the two commissioners, either way. July 21st to the 24th, NACO. August 2nd to the 6th, fair week. And then I guess it's a good question, will we meet on that Monday or not? Oh, I missed July 3rd, and maybe not meeting on July 3rd.
yeah, so let's not meet on July 3rd. I'd support having that meeting available before fair, that Monday.
The Monday, okay.
I don't know what else was.
Oh, and the national finals rodeo got moved to the 7th to the 16th. They're actually doing it all in December,
In December,
because it's, that's a weird. It's a weird.
December, I'm sorry, did you say 7th to the 16th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm going and I'm not gonna wait till the last week to make my reservation.
Yeah.
I need my.
You were on the
fix.
Jumbotron down there. Did you know that?
Oh,
You and all the girls, you had a little kid.
yes, we had my niece's daughters.
So we're up in the nosebleed section and there's Commissioner Dare on the Jumbotron down in the, yeah,
Well, that's just because my niece's husband is famous.
there you go.
So anything else with the schedule? Let's look at this.
So it's
It just-
specific, if there's, basically when we say we're gonna, you know, like if there's a week off or whatever, it's really just that Monday afternoon, Wednesday meeting. So if there's any specific week,
So it would
You
be
wanna
June
propose-
21st would be the Wednesday.
Yep.
That wouldn't have a meeting.
okay, yeah, so that's,
So, and that's
Or spring break. Yeah, like I said, I'd take either one.
yeah, well, as I say, I mean, put them on there as, you know, possible two
When is
commissioners or
spring?
whatever, and we'll
When
talk
is-
about it as we get closer.
Spring break week is March 27th and 29th.
Mhm.
It's nice for staff with kids not to have spring break either.
And then we often don't meet, well, this year we didn't meet. Week of Christmas to New Year's, which would be the 26th, which is a Tuesday. Or maybe the Monday, I guess a lot of people are gonna take that day off, Monday the 1st. Is the holiday, I'm sorry, the Monday is the holiday, of course. So we just need to get the 26th to the 29th.
Right.
Of December.
Did we, that February 22nd, so did we decide, is that gonna be a two commissioner meeting, or is that gonna be are we not gonna meet that day?
I don't care.
As I say, I mean, if there's an agenda items to be done, we might meet. That was my mindset. But you're looking for more clarity?
Well, if we're not meeting that day, then I might actually try and do something with that 3-day weekend. So, be somewhere till Tuesday or something like that. Or Wednesday.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any plans to plan at the event, so. February 22nd, I think isn't that kind of, or, and that's when you're not gonna be there.
Right, I'm gonna be gone. And your wedding.
Well, yeah, it's up to you then. If you're either here or you're not here.
You know, or if the board is meeting, I'll try to be here, but if.
Well, you and I are the board at that day, so if you're not here, we don't have a quorum.
Whatever you think, we just let departments know. So they
Yeah,
can
I mean,
accordingly.
go ahead and do it. It's say that, I mean, that's fine.
around.
Yeah. I mean, because, yeah, that's just a request, no big deal. So February 22nd.
I didn't think that, that wasn't on my radar as a possibility, so.
Till this
I
time.
I don't have any good ideas, but
That's supposed to be. Make me birthday. Day.
An anniversary, you said?
What?
Anniversary?
February 22nd.
No, it's his birthday. It's on the.
Oh, birthday.
Yeah. What is his birthday? Yes, it's the 24th.
That's right.
Yeah, talk Bob into playing golf, right, in Palm Springs. Oh, that'll be fun.
So no meeting February
I'll
22nd.
get back to you.
Okay. we can-
I'll get back
Yeah,
to
so
you.
I mean, think of it like that.
I'll
If you're
get
here,
back
we'll
to
have
you
a meeting.
before the end of the week, whether.
Yep, that's
whether I
fine.
like this
Easy.
place.
Okay. I'll probably be burn pile in my yard or something if we don't have a meeting. I got stuff to clean up. Okay, so as I say, commissioner priorities, we did kind of think it'd be an hour. We did a lot less than that. Now we're working through the scheduling. Agenda worked well there, some good dates. That'll be nice to put the schedule together.
You know, if I could just go back to the priorities discussion, just to build on the employee recruitment and retention discussion. The survey that we did was actually, it was super interesting. And for overall, for all of our employees, didn't show that housing was a big deal. But when you parsed it up and you looked at, you know, the 15 and 20-year employees, you know, the long-term employees, for them, housing was not a big deal. Probably because they all already own houses. But for the, you know, when you broke it up by, you know, kind of the time that you've been with the county, the newer employees, the issue of housing was much more significant. Just like a very large percentage of people had housing concerns. So I just want to point that out. Because if you just look at the overall data, it's like, oh, nothing to worry about. But the people who have housing are the people who are going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years. So, and the people who are newer, who, you know, we hope to have as long-term county employees, they're the ones who are really stressed out about housing. So just to add a little bit more flavor to that discussion.
Great. We'll work through committee assignments and then take a break, I guess, for this afternoon.